Big Sills! Welcome aboard National Football Show with your boy Big Sills. Gotta say, man, hey, Philly. You know, I tried to think of some of the cities around America who's got bigger stars in it. Congratulations, Joel Embiid. MVP. Who is it now? Wilt, Malone, Dr. J, Iverson, and now Embiid. Quite a group to be a part of, especially when you're talking about the big fellas that have played in Philly. Think of that. Think about the big fellas that have played in Philly. Maybe the most complete big man since Wilt. Wilt wasn't the greatest free throw shooter. Tony, got a little history for you. You know one of the reasons that they have a circle at the top of the key there in the free throw line? Because what the Dipper used to do is just run to the free throw line and then lay it in because he wasn't a very good free throw shooter. So because the Dipper was so dynamic in every other asset of his game, they put a circle around it, and you couldn't run to the top of the line there at the free throw line because Wilt Chamberlain used to take off running, and he used to just lay it in. And that's how he did his free throws. True story. And so you're talking about a guy, again, another guy, changed the way you do basketball. And that's quite a, okay? Hey, dude, how about that starting lineup, too? And if you want to put Sir Charles, I know he won it in Phoenix. Okay, you put Barkley in that group, that's a pretty good team, man. I'll tell you what, I'd take that team, Malone and Embiid and Wilt, Dr. J and Iverson. And then you put Barkley in there, man. I don't know, man. That's a pretty good group. Lakers probably have a better one, maybe Celtics, I don't know, man. But that's a pretty impressive group. Congratulations to Joel Embiid. Actually been watching the playoffs. I watched that Golden State game last night. And I watched the Lakers. I tell you, man, good stuff. You're reeling me back in. You're reeling me back in because you know why? It's unpredictable. I like that in sports, unpredictability. I always thought, hey, wake me up in June with the NBA playoffs. Now I'm doing this. Hey, man, pretty good. You're reeling me in. All right. I'm going to have my Philadelphia Eagles dream team here in a second. We got a ton of shit here, man. We're going to do our dream team. By the way, how many people believe Howie Roseman's the best general manager in the NFL? How many people believe he's the best GM in the NFL? How many people believe that? Colin goes, I do. See what Tone says here. You got to believe it at this point. Fair enough. How does Howie Roseman line up against other general managers in all of sports? Baseball, football, basketball, and NHL. How does he match up with all those guys? We're going to talk about that. My dream team. And guess what we're also going to do? Since we're just coming out of the draft, we're going to draft the starting 22 from the 22nd player to the first player. I think I got a couple more guys added on there. So we're going to draft the current team. Who would be the first pick, the 22nd pick, the 17th pick? We're going to do a little bit of that. First off, though, I want to take a shit on someone. Probably not a shocker here. By the way, John McMullen from Birds 365 will join us at the bottom of the hour. This Jonathan Gannon thing, man, I can't shake it. I think Jonathan Gannon may have hurt your chances of winning Super Bowl 57. How many people believe that? There's not a chance in hell this guy was 1,000% focused on that game where you had to be 100% focused to beat Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Anytime you do illegal shit or you do shady shit, how could you be focused when you're angling? Anglers don't have 100% focus. This thing was so shitty, the owners had to deal with it and the commissioner. So are you telling me the Bidwells, Michael Bidwell, Jeffrey Lurie, and Commissioner Goodell had to deal with how bad this thing was? You know why they did that? So they could keep it in-house. They didn't want you knowing. By the way, I'm not suggesting in any way conversations don't go on in the bye weeks of playoffs. We all know that. But be transparent about it. Dude, you got a Super Bowl. You got a Super Bowl to worry about. Something that you can put on your resume for the rest of your life. Instead, Jonathan Gannon now, how many players were kind of like complaining about his approach? I know Gardner Johnson did. Other people were too a little bit. How shitty was his game plan, especially in the second half when he made no adjustments? I don't think Jonathan Gannon was prepared for that Super Bowl and what he had to face with Andy Reid. Andy Reid coached that guy's draws off him. Am I wrong when I say that? Am I wrong? Am I wrong where I'm calling here? Am I wrong with what I'm saying? Tone goes, call me emotional, but I definitely do. Can't tell me otherwise. You can't tell me otherwise. Hoss, when you got hey, take your own personal life, for instance. Take your own personal life. Say you got a pending bill that's out there, or you've got a situation that really impacts your family, and you got to think about going to work. How does that not affect your daily life and how you do things when you have a pending issue, something good or something bad that's waiting for you? How does that not affect your approach in what you do in life? I know some people can departmentalize it, but for me, there's not a chance that guy was 100% focused. Do you agree? Man, I'll tell you what, internally, the Philadelphia Eagles have to be one pissed off group of people. They got to be pissed off at that guy. And you know why you're pissed off too? You gave an unknown an opportunity to come into an organization and they trusted you. And you violated that trust. Finish the job, guy. You started something, finish the job. He didn't finish the job because he was out looking for another job. Not only was he not trustworthy, hey, no wonder, man. This guy's an excuse machine. He's an excuse machine. Hey, remember the first year? We didn't have the talent. So how we went out and got him the talent. Couldn't stop the run. How we went out and got him 2 D linemen and drafted Jordan Davis. And you kind of fixed it. I think that guy has train wreck all over him. I think he has train wreck all over him. I think he cost you an opportunity to win Super Bowl 57. When I knew I was getting the JAKIB gig, I stopped focusing on my last job. Granted, the job sucked, but it's natural. Absolutely. You knew that was hanging out there, right, Tone? It's human nature. Think how excited that guy was. Just think how excited he was that he was going to get one of the 32 cream jobs in the world, being the head football coach of an NFL team. What's more important to you, winning the Super Bowl or getting one of those dream jobs that give you generational wealth? Knowing the kind of money you were going to make, knowing the kind of power you were going to have, knowing the kind of autonomy you would have because you're the head coach, knowing that you're going to run your own ship and have your own castle and have your own moat. You think you're really focused on Super Bowl 57? Absolutely not. Jonathan Gannon, I will take to my grave, hurt your chances of winning the Super Bowl. Hey, that wasn't a Philadelphia Eagle offensive deal. Shane Steichen, I thought, put a great game plan together. Right? It wasn't the offense. It was the defense that let up. Gannon wasn't prepared for Andy Reid. And by the way, that was already going to be a monumental task. That was already going to be a monumental task for you to have to go out and try to outcoach Andy Reid, was it not? Instead, this guy's working with Arizona while he was trying to prepare. How many times have you watched head coaches that you know are leaving certain places and they coach in the bowl game and their team gets killed? You can't tell me that Gannon was 100% focused on Super Bowl 57. Not a freaking chance. That's right. Tease, he never adjusted. Because you know why? He was unprepared. That guy, boy, I'll tell you what, man. Next time the Eagles play Arizona, man, do I want a piece of that ass. I'm going to do everything in my power to embarrass that. Hey, I would say this to you too, man. Next time you line up against that Cardinal team, I'm going to do everything I can to take a shit on you and that organization who was tampering. Why are the Eagles getting hammered with this? What I don't get is, what's the Eagles' angle in this? He was under contract with the Philadelphia Eagles to be the defensive coordinator until the Super Bowl. And one of the rules is you can't take lateral moves. Okay, once the game's over, all bets are off and you can go and negotiate. Man. I don't know, man. Maybe you guys think I'm reaching on this one. But I think that guy, now knowing what I know in hindsight, at least give me this and agree with me on this. He wasn't prepared. The second half showed that. That guy was not prepared for Super Bowl 57. And he hurt your shot at winning it. And by the way, I'm not telling you he's Jim Johnson, but that makes it even more so to the point that he needed to be more focused. You're going against a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Hall of Fame head coach, and you're out dicking around with Arizona. Okay. You cost your team. Okay, remember, that's right, Cal. Remember when Fletcher Cox was doing this the first year he was the coordinator? I don't know what this guy's asking me to do. Remember when they were 2-5? He goes, I just don't know what they're doing. I have no idea what they're asking me to do here, man. Then they simplified it, made it a little bit easier for them to be able to understand the kind of scheme that they were trying to do. Remember Fletcher spoke up. You know, that's the one thing that's really cool. I got to tell you, man. Gannon Super Bowl waiting for left. That's right. He burned his relationship with the Eagles. That's not something you want to do, especially with an organization that's pumping out all these front office guys and head coaches. That's not something you want on your resume, that you took a shit in the last place that helped you get where you are. Burning bridges, especially in that league, with general managers and front office. Hey, how about the front office people that are eventually going to get GM jobs? They're going to remember that with Gannon. I'm not bringing that guy in. That guy's untrustworthy. That's right. Hey, remember this. When you take a head coaching job or an assistant job or any job, the day you'll be fired is out there. How you handle yourself on the way out the door is important as it is when you have the job. I learned that the hard way. Okay? I think Jonathan Gannon, man. I've never seen a guy get a job. You know, there's one thing about Sirianni's press conference. It was a little hokey, right? Nick's been great the whole time. Jumping on the park benches in Indianapolis and Arizona and all that shit. Kind of, you know, you're like this. All right. A little bit of too much of a high school coach and shit, but he's still good and the players like him and the front office really loves him. So it's all good. Love his daughter. So there's a part of me that makes me know that he's a genuine dude. So he's a genuine emotional guy. I'm good with it. He's a paisan. I get it. I understand it totally. I totally get it. Okay? He's a genuine dude. This guy here's a fraud, man. I don't trust that guy at all. I just don't. I can't wait to see how this thing plays itself out. All right. Dan, I agree with you. And I never agree with you. Thank you, Joseph. Joseph, I mean, he was not prepared. He was just not prepared. Dude, the Eagles played, and the players won in spite of him. That was more Howie Roseman building that defense than it was Jonathan Gannon's scheme. Is that fair? We're finding out now that Vic Fangio would have stayed. But with all the shenanigans that were going, hey, get this, there must have been some turmoil. Do we agree here? According to Adam Schefter, there must have been some turmoil after the Eagles found out that he was doing this during the Super Bowl. Can I tell you what I'm hearing? While Gannon was in the Super Bowl and at the Super Bowl week, he was meeting with Michael Bidwell in Phoenix. Now, that's a rumor. That's a rumor. But that's the word that he was having dinner with Michael Bidwell Super Bowl week. You think there's any coincidence to that? That the owners had to get involved? Dude, Howie didn't handle this. The commissioner of the NFL, Michael Bidwell, and Jeffrey Lurie handled this. Why do you think that is? Because they don't want any more emails going back and forth like they did with Daniel Snyder and Bruce Allen and other ways of running it down and having a paper trail. They wanted to keep it between the three parties. Greenblood, Gannon is an immature pud. Hey, so while your team is in Phoenix, and again, these are the rumors around this story. This story is not being really reported that much, especially in the Inquirer. Jonathan Gannon was meeting with the Arizona Cardinal owners and Michael Bidwell while he was preparing your team's Super Bowl week. Again, rumors. I want to underscore it. Rumors. But I don't think there's any coincidence that the owners and the commissioner were the only ones involved in rectifying this scenario. How many times have you seen an owner deal with tampering? Not really. It comes down to the GMs. It's an organizational thing. Man. Andy Reid is sitting there going, I got this guy. He knew it the whole time. Surely Kansas City knew what was going on because all these owners talk. Swansky goes, Dan, remember when CJ said he didn't put us in a position to win? I sure do. Dude, I'm sorry to tell you this. I didn't know how to open up the show with this. And again, I want to make sure we put this in parentheses. That all this stuff is not, you notice the NFL is glossing over it, and so is the Inquirer and everyone in the media. And Philly's kind of, you know who continues to bring it up is Rob on Sports Take. He rightfully so. This is a story. Super Bowl's in Arizona. Gannon gets accused of tampering. There's rumors that they were having meetings while he was game planning while he was game planning. People were coming over to the hotel, or he was going over to a hotel and meeting them. Just saying. I'm sorry. I think there's more to this. I think there's more to it. I don't think he was very prepared. Second half, he inflamed. Defensive backs running into one another, playing a completely different scheme. And once they started running the crossing routes in Super Bowl 57, I'm talking Kansas City. Once they started running those crossing routes, that defense fell apart in the second half. I mean, I don't know how you go and see this. Helen Keller could see what happened in the second half. Tell me I'm wrong. Now, look, Big Sills is a big conspiracy guy. I love that stuff. And I'm not going to tell you who told me, but he comes on the show all the time. Okay? He does. Just so happens he's traveling. It's the only reason he doesn't. And he can't right now. Word is that Gannon was meeting with the Cardinals Super Bowl week. Wow. More to come. I'm digging on this. Okay? AstroTurf. Who killed JFK? The mob. Dude, I'm telling you. That's not Bruce Arians. It's a media guy. Just telling you. Guy I trust, too. Actually, he goes on WIP all the time. The owners had to deal with it, and the commissioner, because they wanted to keep it in-house. I was told they wanted to keep it in-house because they didn't want a paper trail. See, that whole Daniel Snyder thing has made the NFL owners and general managers smarter now. Don't be rifling these emails that have inappropriate language or company business on it if you don't want it to get out. Every general manager and organization is under the Snyder watch now. And the Snyder watch is, do you know the one thing that Daniel Snyder did? Do you know what Daniel Snyder did that was brilliant? He don't own an email. Do you know that? Daniel Snyder doesn't own an email. Smart. He does not. Everyone else has an email. And he dictates to them. Snyder doesn't have an email address. He's never had one. That's why they don't have anything on him on paper. They got Bruce Allen. They've got other executives in the Washington organization on email. They don't have him on it. Dude, you know what's crazy about this? Look at what happened with that whole fiasco with the with stealing signs in baseball. And look how many people got fired. Look at what happened. The Miami Dolphins lost the first round pick because of that whole shit that went on with Brady in New England. Look at that. How does this not go down that line here? Why Brady and the Dolphins were tampering with New England? How is this not tampering with Philadelphia? Why is Philly did Philly do something that was inappropriate? I'd like to know. I don't know that end of it. They tried hard to bury that story during the draft. They didn't want it stinking up the draft. Oh, I completely agree. They hired a coach during the Super Bowl buy-in week of the game. And he's meeting with them supposedly, and again, allegedly, at the front end of the week of game week. I didn't really know how to tell you. And I didn't know if you would think that it was a big deal. Big deal, no deal. Big deal, no deal. That's a story. It's about people that were doing things that didn't finish a job. Imagine if a player was under contract. Say Lamar Jackson was under contract. Or Joe Burrow right now says, you know what? Fuck the Bengals. I'm going to start talking to the Packers. You know? Or I'm just going to hedge my bets just in case Cincinnati doesn't want to pay me or they want to pick up my fifth-year option. Let me just start talking to Green Bay. What's the difference? What's the difference? Tell me what the difference is. Screw Cincinnati. They're going to pick up my fifth-year option anyway, because why? Alligator Arms Mike Brown, he ain't paying me. Big Sills, I got respect for you. You're a realist. Thank you, Joseph. You might imagine? Hey, I'm not going to talk. Justin Herbert. Hey, you know what, man? Rams are going to need a new quarterback. I really don't want to leave Los Angeles. Let me start talking to Stan Kroenke and Les Snead and Kevin Demoff. Don't worry about it. What the hell are contracts for? Imagine that. Unbelievable. Jonathan Gannon. What a snake. Hey, can I tell you this? No wonder he's talking shit on the Philadelphia organization and the fan base. No wonder. It's a story and says where his mind was Super Bowl week. Absolutely. He didn't give a shit about the game. He cared about his advancement. You understand? There's people in the media business exactly like that. They don't give a shit about the team. They only care about them and their show. See, when you're at a station, you're kind of on a team. Of course, you worry about yourself. You worry about your future. You worry about feeding your family. But you got to work with others. You know? You got to all row in the same direction. Imagine how Sirianni must have felt. You know how passionate he gets. Oh, he's probably so pissed off at this dude right now. Hey, that's right, Cal. Look at Urban Liar. Okay. Dumbo Fisher. All them dudes, man. Absolutely. Brian Kelly, the way he shit on Notre Dame and Cincinnati for that matter. Remember what he told the kids at the bowl game? At the Sugar Bowl? Hey, I'm taking the Notre Dame job. Good luck to you against Florida. Kids are all sitting here like this, put their ass on the line. We're recruited by this guy. He gave him a 10-second notice at the awards banquet in New Orleans. Brian Kelly walks in and goes, hey, guys, listen. Good luck to you in the Sugar Bowl. I'm taking the Notre Dame job. See you later. Have a good one. Kids are sitting here going, what? And Florida blew him out. You remember that? Florida blew him out after. It was Tebow's last college game, I think it was. Coaches lie. They always do, man. It's crazy. So before I bring John McMullen in here, one more time. This story here with Gannon talking to the Arizona Cardinals, there's now people saying that they were talking during Super Bowl week. And you would have to think just by the second half of the fact that you weren't prepared for Andy Reid's adjustments. Again, I'll throw this at you here. Again, people that I respect talking, and only 3 people were involved in the negotiations on how they handled this in-house because, once again, it's the Daniel Snyder factor. They don't want a paper trail in this on what went down with tampering. Remember what tampering cost the Miami Dolphins? They didn't have a pick this year in the first round because of that Brady and Stephen Ross deal. That thing got out. This has been kind of like a held-up story here a little bit. And now Gannon's throwing shots back at Phil. I'll tell you what, if I'm the Eagles, man, I'm like, man, we gave this guy every opportunity. And, you got the job, guy. Go away. Work on your own team. Look at the train wreck that Michael Bidwell has right now with former general managers and executives inside the organization. It has to be one of the worst run organizations in all of football. Players exodus. They don't want to play there anymore. I don't know.